Greetings to film lovers who accidentally turned into a picture and just YouTube surfers. Today's recommendation will contain not only a lot of praise, but also a piece of criticism. Despite the fact that Avatar: The Way of Water is no less beautiful than the first part. Let's briefly refresh the memory of the first part so that it is clear what to rely on. Filmed by Kamun'itan in 2009, a sci-fi action movie. The film tells the story of a paralyzed former Marine, Jake Sully, who travels to the planet Pandora, inhabited by the alien Na'vi people. His mission is to obtain information about this people and the natural resources of the planet that humanity wants to extract. However, after meeting the Na'vi and learning about their culture and traditions, Jake begins to change his attitude towards them and his mission. The film, Avatar, has become one of the most successful films of all time and deservedly received many awards and positive reviews from critics and audiences. He wowed viewers with his visuals and beautiful landscapes, and touched on important topics such as ecology, racism and civil liberties. Avatar: The Way of Water is a continuation of the story of the first part. The film is no less beautiful than the first part. New species of animals, plants, corals. But it turned out to be more full of holes. In the first 10 minutes, we are stuffed with the very leaky illogical, to which then the rest of the film is tied. Perhaps in the future there will be another super duper theatrical extended version in which various shortcomings will be explained, but it has not yet been made. It's a pity, but let's boldly raise our hand up and with the ease of aspiration we say, yes, and fuck with him, lowering our hand down. With all the beauty of the planet, a lot of military clashes were thrown into the film, as for me. Although, again, this is compensated by new species, skills and craft. Especially for those who have not watched this wonderful film, I recommend it. At this point, you need to either pause this video or turn it off. Because there will be a few spoilers in the future with my indignation. Well, now that the film has already been viewed, you may wonder how and why. Actually, the main hole in what is happening only at the beginning of the film. Here we will analyze it. Grace, the main scientist researcher from the first part, turned out to be a real and complete researcher studying not only plants, soil and animals, but also the Avatar itself. Namely, the process of reproduction. At least Grace's Avatar produced offspring. This deserves the highest recognition from the research community. Now we can dream up at this moment. In the first part, Grace, when she saw a substitute partner for a person in a wheelchair, was very nervous. Is it because she was going to explore the intercourse of these two avatars, or did she already do it? But wanted to continue? In these options, then her initial indignation is understandable. But she does not answer the question of when and from whom she was able to become pregnant.
What shirt?
Now let's look at our Jack Sullivan and compare it with the first part. From the first minutes, he begins to complain about the environment and that it's hard for him, as a former warrior, to study, and stuff like that. But in the first part, he's not that he grasped everything on the fly, he strove to learn as much as possible and as quickly as possible. Learn to talk with animals and plants. He was eager to learn. And now what? Some incomprehensible snot. And the decision to move away from the war is also unreasonable. Thus, he throws the forest, substituting him, and he flies away to distant lands. The war itself did not end from his move. Humans, their RDA, in some incomprehensible miraculous way raised avatars on Earth by copying to the carrier all the personal memories of all the warriors, which was not even mentioned in the first part, and loaded them into these avatars. How? They had no data, no equipment. And if they had dealt with this issue before the events shown in the first part, then Jake Sullivan could not have been mentioned. The new general gives the idea that Pandora should become a new home for people, but local aborigines interfere with this. That is, the atmosphere does not interfere, but the locals interfere. Only from this realization such dissonance begins, akin to the terraforming of Mars. And one more clumsy thing about the fact that the Colonel's avatar spoke in the Na'vi language. This doesn't fit into any gates, because then he still doesn't understand it. And the icing on the cake is an open ending with a direct message to continue. Someone will say that this is good, someone will support my point of view. But no matter how much we want, there will be 3 more parts. And let's hope we don't have to wait another 13 years for the next installment.